Tere päevast! Okay, I will switch to English. So very warm welcome and very happy to see you in the hall, but also in behind the screens. So it's my great pleasure and honor to address you today here on a topic which is very close to my heart. It is a topic which keeps me, and I suspect also many of you, awake at night. And of course, I'm talking about cybersecurity. About the threats, but also about successful cyber attacks which have disturbed our lives here and well beyond our borders, and which are on a rapid rise. And it has an impact on our daily lives as people, as businesses, as governments. Cybersecurity is one of the household topics we all know something about. We know it's a topic experts talk about. We have all heard that there have been successful cyber attacks, but usually they are far away from our home, and that sometimes gives a degree of complacency. And that's why I think cybersecurity is not sufficiently or is not always at the top of our political or business agenda. Also, if we look at the financing side, cybersecurity is oftentimes seen as a cost center, doesn't generate the revenues. But then you have also the real, so to say, political or business priorities, where you need to secure funding, be it on developing further IT solutions, building new roads, schools, hospitals, so on and so forth. And yes, granted, we have already done a fair bit in cybersecurity. Estonia, as one of the most advanced digital nations, ranks number 3 in ITU Global Cybersecurity Index. So that's good. Our EID and X-Road provide for a secure, trusted, and a safe method to share data between different government databases, and has allowed us to digitalize 99% of public services in Estonia, including the elections, which is important. At the EU level, there are also a number of initiatives. We talk about NIS Directive, GDPR, eIDAS regulation, and Cybersecurity Act. These steps are all important and have helped us to move forward, to protect ourselves, our countries in the business and cyber domain. However, faced with a growing threats today, these measures will not have a tangible effect if we don't boost investing into cybersecurity. Now, if I were to sit on the other chair than the Minister of IT in Estonia, I probably would say cybersecurity is a topic for IT experts, and that real urgent issues lay elsewhere. But there is one thing I have learned in my almost 25 years in managing financial crisis and regulating the financial industry. You always need to assess the risks at present, but also in the future, and then ask, what could go wrong in the future, and what is my plan if things go wrong? And the future, dear colleagues and friends, is looking increasingly cloudy from a perspective of a cyber. We all know that over the last 2 years, the trend of moving towards the digital society has been on a fast-forward mode. COVID has pushed us to open new frontiers in digital solutions and very rapidly develop new technologies to accommodate the need to do things virtually. As a way out of a pandemic, digital transition is seen as a way or a pathway to remodel our economies and societies. The EU alone is investing some 130 billion from recovery funds into the digitalization. And then, of course, if we think of private sector investment, which is counted in trillions globally, it is obvious that we will just accelerate our digital transition as societies, as businesses, as citizens. And the relocation of our daily lives into the digital sphere, of course, will bring many benefits, but also the risks and threats that need to be managed. These are all manageable, but they need to be managed. We don't need to look far to find examples of a successful cyber attacks. So if I take example of Kaseya recently or SolarWinds, they have become all more common. Attacks against critical infrastructure, such as energy pipelines or healthcare systems, have become equally more common. And ransomware attacks have also become more common. There has been an increase in the number of ransomware attacks by 228% in the first half of this year. And of course, it makes the business increasingly profitable for the criminals. It is estimated that the cost of cyber attacks and criminality will grow up to $6 trillion a year. And that, obviously, is a big amount of money, and where entry barriers are very low today, and where ransomware is offered as a service. Ladies and gentlemen, we must set cybersecurity as a cornerstone of a digital transition ahead. Else, we will only be growing and creating new vulnerabilities for our societies and await passively until another cyber attack occurs. I therefore ask our dear ministers, the CEOs, and experts, and the audience here today to take a brief moment and reflect how well we are prepared today to deal with the cyber incidents going forward. How well is the public sector and businesses prepared to handle the incidents we saw in Sweden this summer when 800 grocery stores were shut down for a week? Or if our hospitals and medical services are paralyzed by a ransomware like we witnessed in Ireland? I trust you agree with me that it would be far better to minimize the probability of a successful attack in the first place, rather than to deal with the consequences. Cybercrime is a global business that needs global, coordinated response. We need to put the cybersecurity onto our actual priority lists. This is my ask today. It is for the sake of keeping and strengthening the trust, what has been many times emphasized here, the trust of people into the digital world. And we all know that the trust of people is a cornerstone of any society, digital or analog. In order to keep the trust of people and make our goals and efforts measurable, we need to do two things. One, to establish internationally agreed and unified methodology how to measure the level of cybersecurity investments or cyber preparedness. And two, set the target for the level of investments into the cybersecurity as a percentage earmarked for each IT budget. Public, private, both are equally important. This will allow us better to understand what makes up cybersecurity, how well we are positioned, individually and as democracies collectively. In parallel to the work of a unified methodology, which I believe the OECD is well placed to lead, we should also start the debate or discussion to set the minimum benchmark for investments into the cybersecurity among the like-minded countries. Our aim should be no less than to agree on a global framework on cybersecurity. Just like the NATO has a 2% target for the defense expenditures of 2% of GDP, where methodology is clear and all governments are accountable for meeting that target. So we need to have a comparable milestone benchmark methodology for cybersecurity. To conclude, my friends, the threats in the cyberspace will not disappear. They will intensify as we continue to move further into the digital domain. So we need to make sure that we are safe and protected in this new digital world. This requires international cooperation, a shared understanding and assessment of cybersecurity risks, and the necessary investment to mitigate these risks. To act otherwise would be simply to wait for the next incident to happen. Therefore, if you take one message away from Tallinn Digital Summit, it is that we need to be serious about cybersecurity, and let's start from here. I thank you for listening, and I hope you all remember to change your passwords regularly and not to 123 QWERTY. Thank you very much.